Welcome to Drua Talk.
Look out, here comes Nigeria. Murray. Goes short side. Vardy Array scores.
You're watching Drua Talk with Clarkie.
Bulavanaka, welcome to Drua Talk with Clarkie. Well, Fortress Lautoka lived up to its name again last Saturday. After a shaky start, the Swire-shipping Fijian Drua thumped the Western Force to go unbeaten at Churchill Park in 2025. After conceding an early try, the Drua scored 38 unanswered points to the delight of their faithful fans and the commentators as well. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to keep them in the playoffs race, but it again showed how good the Drua can play at home. Anyway, coming up, we'll chat to head coach Glen Jackson. Flying Fijians coach Mick Byrne joins us to chat about the upcoming test. And our special guest in Clarkie's Corner is Super Rugby Pacific Director and Head of Sport at Bond University on Queensland's Gold Coast, Michael Collins. But first up, let's check out the highlights of the Drua's 38-7 win over the Force.
Final time in the regular season, hoping to end an 11-game losing streak outside Australia since 2022. Leads his team out on to Churchill Park for the final time before heading overseas. They're coming off their worst performance at home, going down 34-5 to the Blues in Suva. Isaiah Armstrong Rabula. Week 14 is underway in Lautoka. And the first touch for the inside centre, Pasatoa. That's a 22. Armstrong Rabula out the back, and it's a loose ball. It's been picked up by Greeley. So an opportunity here as Williams takes it into the 22 for the Force. And they go to the short side. Robertson got the ball back on the inside, and it's a try to the Western Force, and it is Tompkinson. So another advantage being played here. And there's the penalty. And he's going to go to the pocket.
Got 10 metres under pressure. No, can't go through this one.
The Drua have to start again from inside their own territory. Salala, not sure which way to go, so he gives it to Marcy, who got a great ball away the long and Marcy. He's got a player on the inside. Here it is for the Fijian Drua, and Philip Salala is going to score the 5-pointer. Isaiah Armstrong Ravula looking to level the scores, 15 metres in from touch, and he's got it. So we're locked up at 7-all in Lautoka. Vada comes away with it. Salala, Armstrong Ravula tries to chip over the top. The chase is on. Who wants it? It's still on the ground, and it sits up nicely for Yosefo Marcy. He's got his first try in 2025. Welcome back, Mr. Marcy. Eventually goes back and cleans up just outside his 22, and the number 8 charges back at them. And the penalty, he was isolated. He's got the distance. What's the direction like? It's over. They extend the lead. It's 17-7. It's the Fijian Drua over the Western Force. And the siren sounds in the background, so Isaiah Armstrong Ravula will put it into touch. And that's the end of the first half at Churchill Park in Lautoka. Into the start of the second half, and we are underway. Such a big 40 minutes required from the Western Force if they're going to keep their slim hopes of reaching the playoffs alive. Cuff charge his way over. Basalala a little slow to get back there. The shot coming. Tuai was there though to clean it up and save the day. And now Vata reaches out and puts it down. Now he got it down.
Let it come! Use it!
Marcy. Vata. Pick and go again. Crowd starts to get involved. They're over. It's a try to the Fijian Drua. Bravo, Talmunda. He got one last week. He's got another one today.
Look at this crowd up on their feet. The favourite son, Celestino.
And then there's the turnover. And here comes Dolakoto. Marcy. Rakuro. Oh, and it's forward. That's a crowd try.
Back here, we have a forward pass.
They think it's a try, but no, the whistle is gone. And that is full time. So Ndolakoto denied a try at the end. But the Fijian Drua, they've done it again in Lautoka.
What a win for the Drua. To keep a side like the Force scoreless for 77 minutes was fantastic. So the Force are also out of the playoffs race, but things are hotting up with just 2 rounds to go. Let's check all the results from week 14. The Hurricanes 24-20 over the Highlanders in Wellington. The Crusaders were too good for the Waratahs, winning 48-33 in Sydney. The Drua, big winners over the Force in Lautoka by 38-7. A gutsy win by Moana Pacifica over the Blues at North Harbour Stadium, taking it 27-21. Brumbies won the Aussie Derby against the Reds by 24-14 in Canberra. The Chiefs had the bye. So, with 2 rounds to go in the regular season, it's the Brumbies on top on 43 points, but they only have 1 more game to play. The Chiefs and Crusaders are on 41, Reds 32, Hurricanes 30, and Moana are 6th on 28, just ahead of the Blues in 7th, but also on 28. The Tars are on 22 with the Force. The Drua move off the bottom on 20, 1 ahead of the Highlanders on 19. In the Player of the Year votes, well, it's all over, even though there are still 2 rounds to go. No one can overtake the magnificent Moana captain Ardie Savea. He is your Super Rugby Pacific Player of the Year for 2025. With maximum points again last weekend, he's on 42 votes, putting him beyond the reach of Tom Hooper and Damien McKenzie. So it's Ardie on 42, Tom Hooper 31, Damien McKenzie 28, Carlo Tassano 27, Timothy Tavatava Nawai, Langi Gleeson and Fraser McBride are on 26. You're watching Drua Talk with Clarkie. The Drua have a bye this week, but there's still work to be done by head coach Glen Jackson. He joins us now. Well, Coach, I love it when we chat after a win. After a shaky or nervous start, it was a great result over the Force for the boys, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think I like talking to you more than after a win than you to me, mate. It was good. I was stoked for the boys. Obviously, one of the worst games of the year was us against the Force over there, so it was a bit of payback for the hard work the boys had done, and I knew it was a really good week leading up to it. I think I talked to you last week saying the boys had had a great week of training, and to put a performance like that in front of our loyal fans that turned up was rewarding for everyone.
It was a great way to finish at home, 38 unanswered points after conceding that early try to the Force. It's such a shame that the playoffs are out of their reach now, isn't it?
Oh, it is, mate. Like I say, we've I think this year we've taken some gains of certain things, and we've obviously had a few things that have let us down, probably off field and a little bit on field as well. So it's just it's a shame that a season like this, which has been a fantastic competition. I think even now you'd say if everyone was involved, you still wouldn't quite know who's going to win the comp. So it's but to not be there or thereabouts is disappointing for everyone involved, and especially obviously for the people watching at home. And my first effort as head coach, it's disappointing for that. But I know we're getting some good young men in this club, and when I say young, they're very young, and we're striving to make this club as good as we can.
Marcy, Ravutaumunda, are they definitely going?
Yeah, look, again, when we look back on the year, we sort of had some boys that are pretty honest around where their future was, and that probably, if we look back to, or we're looking forward to next year, it's certainly something we've got to make sure we communicate better with everybody around how that looks. But obviously Mussey's and Steno is pretty clear what they're doing, and then the wrap up of everyone else around when they're going to come and when they're not. But we're looking forward to 2026, and like I said, we've got some great people coming into the club, also people that have shown their want to stay and succeed in this great competition of Super Rugby.
Well, just for the record, that's 9 wins in a row at Churchill Park for the Drua, 10 from 12 overall. Will you be requesting more games at Lautoka next season?
I requested more this year, Clarkie. So yeah, it's obviously Fiji's our home, and Suva's important to this team. Lautoka for us as a team is a much better assignment. Obviously, we know Lautoka and the weather, but it's not about that. It's about the boys being able to stay at home and a genuine home game. We've got a good routine coming to our club and then heading to Churchill Park, which we know the fans there are very passionate and very understanding, and I think our fans are extremely loyal. I think it's very hard to always turn out to every single game, but I know just walking around Fiji and the support that thank goodness that everyone has given us as a club is important. So there's no way I think our fans are been not turning up or what. It's just that it's the life of rugby. It's hard to come to every game, and I appreciate and thank every single one of them that wherever we are, give us a heck of a lot of support. And we know this year wasn't as the year that everyone wanted, but this is a new club. This is, as I said, this is the fourth year, really third year, because of our first year not being here, and we are learning every single day, and we want to come back stronger and better for the next season.
The Western Force coach, Simon Cron, made it clear that he wasn't happy with the amount of travel the Force and the Drua have to undertake. He thinks there can be 40% less travel with a better draw. Do you have an opinion on it? Can it be improved?
Super Rugby, I think it's the beauty of what you do. You've got to prepare, you've got to plan, you've got to understand that both teams obviously aren't in a zone that works for everybody, but I would say to our boys, obviously, and I think we should be one of the first to say that it's not been great because we don't win away, but we're going to strive to be better than that. We've looked at the last 2 years of how we actually travel, what we do when we're there. I already have got some good plans of how we're going to do it better next year, and I think, that's the beauty of Super Rugby. I was lucky enough to be in it when there was South Africa and Argentina and everything, and Japan, so it's always been the case of trying to get your travel right as well as your rotation of your squad. And get the balance right of both to succeed in this comp.
Okay, thanks for giving us your time in the bye week. I look forward to chatting again next week as you prepare for the Reds and the final game of the season for the Drua. Catch you then. Vanaka.
Thanks, Clarkie. Appreciate it, mate.
Time to check out the Week 15 draw, and there are more crunch games in the run-up to the playoffs. Friday, the Crusaders host the Highlanders in Christchurch, and the Reds play the Hurricanes in Brisbane. Saturday, it's the Chiefs up against Moana Pacifica in Hamilton, and the Force play the Waratahs in Perth, both looking to bounce back after losses last week. The Drua, Brumbies and Blues have a bye. On Drua Talk, it's time to head to Clarkie's Corner, and this week's guest is a former player turned administrator. Michael Collins, Bond Uni Head of Sport and Super Rugby Pacific Director. On Drua Talk, it's time to see who's in Clarkie's Corner. Bulla Mike, let's get the Chiefs out of the way first. You're a long-time player for them, you were the Chiefs CEO, and now you're a passionate fan. You must be happy with them so far, but will they go all the way?
G'day Clarkie, once again thanks for having me on Clarkie's Corner. Look, great question around the Chiefs. I think the second half against the Crusaders was possibly the best 40 minutes I think I've seen the club play for a number of years. Look, I think they're getting players back at the right time, but it's a really even competition, as you can see from their game against Hurricanes a few weeks ago. They got sort of turned over in the second half, and this week against Moana Pacifica is going to be a massive test. Moana have got a lot of energy behind them. So look, being an independent director now, of course I'm neutral, Clarkie, as you know. There's 3 or 4 teams that could come through and win the competition, and thankfully the Chiefs, the Galahad Chiefs, are one of them.
Earlier in the season, we chatted about Super Rugby Pacific. You're on the board of directors. You were confident the 11-team structure would deliver. Is that still your view?
Yeah, look, I think you just have to look at the games this season, how close they've been, how competitive they've been, how many times the leaderboard, the top 6 has changed. I think the Australian teams have definitely stepped up. Moana Pacifica playing at a whole other level than what they have played at before. I think the Drua have been really, really good at home. Lautoka is a bit of a graveyard for visiting teams, but unfortunately they just haven't managed to get some results on the road. And I think if they look back over their campaign, there's probably 2 to 3 weeks that if they did that a little bit differently, if they got their performance right, if they got the results, then I think they will be in the pointy end of the competition. So to go back to your question, look, I think the 11 teams is never ideal, but I think it's actually worked really, really well in terms of how competitive this competition is.
Well, Moana are in the running to make the playoffs for the first time. The Drua have been hard to beat at home again this season. Are you happy with the Pacific franchises?
They play a really exciting brand of rugby. I think they, as you can see from Moana, they've got a groundswell of support. And when the Fijian Drua play in Fiji, they get tremendous support as well. So look, from a fan-centric position around the competition, Clarkie, I think the addition of both those franchises has been outstanding. It'd be great to get them, both those teams, into the top 6 because they do play such an attractive and exciting brand of footy. I think around the high performance and development of their players for international rugby, I think in a few more years' time, we'll see if they are producing international quality players. But on gut instinct, I think that they are.
Mike, is it too soon to talk about the future and how Super Rugby Pacific can evolve going forward?
No, look, I think as a board, we're always having these conversations. How do we evolve? How do we keep the competition front and centre in the minds of our fans? And I think, like at the moment, we've got a lot of housekeeping that we need to do around the competition. We're trying to create some traditions, create some rivalries. A great example is around the Anzac clashes over Anzac weekend, putting a bit more thought into the draw. But then also helping, making sure that the travel schedules of the Force and the Fijian Drua don't impact their performance. So look, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and I know that everyone's always talking about expansion around Super Rugby and are we going to add new franchises and stuff like that. But all I'd say to that question is that, yeah, we will, but we have to make sure that we're a sustainable, high-performing competition, and we have to walk before we can run.
What about your real job? Head of sport at Bond Uni on the Gold Coast. Your rugby teams, they've been competitive, but the men's Premier grade who play in the Brisbane club competition have had some close losses, but there's still time to catch up, no doubt.
As you know, Clarkie, I'm an avid rugby union fan, and rugby's only a really small part of what we do at Bond University. Our swimming club won the University Swimming Nationals and they finished third overall at the recent Australian National Championships. So we're really proud of our swimming program. And we're off to the World Championships in Singapore in a couple of months' time. But to go to rugby, look, the men Prems under Mick Heenan, I think are building really, really nicely. What Mick has done is that he's created some continuity from our Colts 1 program, our second grade program, and a lot of that, we've got a lot of young players playing in our Prems, and they're great young players. A lot of them are students. And as you always mention, Clarkie, we do have a fine contingent of Fijian players out there representing us on the field. So, yeah, look, we've had, I think, 3 or 4 games we've lost by 1 point, and a lot of those have been to the top 2 or 3 teams in the competition. We are getting a few soldiers back in that Premier grade, and I think that the second round under Mick and Sean Hedger, I think that we have every chance to get to the pointy end of that competition. And I must note that the Bond women's team are 3 times Australian national champions, Clarkie, as you well know, and we are a victim of that success in the women's space. A lot of our girls go off and play in the NRLW competition or the Super W competition, so we're continuously finding young talent from around the Gold Coast and northern New South Wales and promoting them. So look, the girls haven't had everything their own way in the competition to date, but we're still a chance. We're a really strong chance to get in the top 2 or 3 teams in that competition. And as you know, when it comes to finals footy, anything's possible. So Clarkie, really happy with the Bond rugby program, and It's great getting down to the canal on Saturdays and supporting them.
Fiji Sevens gold medalist Kali Nasoko, he's playing for Bond Bull Sharks. If any other Pacifica sports people want to study and represent Bond Uni in sport, how do they go about it?
Yeah, great question. Look, as we head towards 2032, the Brisbane Olympics, we want it to be the home Olympics for Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Islands. So we are encouraging a lot of Pacific Island students to head over here and study, and they can go onto the Bond website. We offer a whole range of sports, a whole range of courses, and we've got some Papua New Guinean swimmers, and we've got a couple of Fijian students in our law program that are playing in the rugby club and the Colts program. So look, we've got some from students from all over the Pacific, and the more the merrier at Bond University.
Well, Mike, thank you for joining us in Clarkie's Corner. Thanks for Bond Uni's support of Drua Talk, and all the best for the rest of the season. Vanaka.
Thanks, Clarkie.
Yes, great to have Bond Uni supporting Drua Talk and giving Pacifica students an opportunity to experience a wonderful campus. Well, earlier we spoke to the Drua head coach. Now we're being joined by the Flying Fijians head coach, Mick Byrne. Well, Mick, first of all, are you enjoying the transition from the week-to-week hands-on coaching at Super Rugby Pacific level to the test arena?
I think it's different. Initially I was missing the day-to-day. I still do miss the day-to-day. I'm really looking forward to when we come back into camp, but there's a lot on. There's a lot more work to be done here off the field with a number of players playing in the Northern Hemisphere. I think we've got about 18 or 19 different environments that we're looking at when we sort of get towards our final squad, and that takes a little bit of effort to stay on top of. Plus, a lot of our coaching staff, etc., aren't full time, so there's a lot of work to do to keep everybody in touch. There were some quiet periods of time there. Obviously, after November, you have a bit of a break away from it, but it's certainly been ramping up over the last couple of months as we near our test matches in July.
I saw you in the stands at Autoka with your son Joel last Saturday. Were you impressed with the way the Drua control that second half in particular?
Yeah, look, I think they obviously their last home game, a number of players, leaving, and probably disappointments of earlier in the year, meant there seemed to be quite a lot of effort. A lot of good effort went into maintaining that, and they just, they're a very exciting team when they have ball in hand. So I think they're at their best on the weekend, and it was very pleasing to watch.
Well, where are you at with the Flying Fijians as you prepare for two big tests against Australia and Scotland in July?
We probably started with a squad of about 80 players that are playing around the world that are eligible for us, and we've just been looking at form and watching a few players overseas, and obviously the Drua players pretty closely. And we sort of narrowed that down to probably potentially a squad of 50 at the moment. There's a couple of big games coming up over the next few weeks, a couple of big games coming up over the next couple of weeks in the north, which we'll have our eye on as well. And and then the players will finish up. So we hope to name our squad, our final squad, by about June 11. There'll be potentially a squad around about June 4. We'll probably name a preliminary squad, of which we'll finalise a week later.
Mick, can you give us more of an indication of where the players will be selected from? What I'm trying to say is, will the Drua have a big representation?
Look, I think at the moment the Drua, it's a bit like last year. It's around 50% of the squad. It just depends on a couple of positions really. But they'll make up they'll be the largest club represented for sure. But as we know, that'll be the case. But they'll, they potentially could take upwards of 50% of the squad.
You've been involved in coaching in the Wallaby and Scottish setups before, so are you optimistic that Fiji can be competitive with such a short preparation?
Yeah, the thing about our players is they're used to that sort of work. You know, when you look at some of the other environments I've been in, the coaches would deal very well with only having 3 days prep, but you know, our coaching group and our playing group are sort of used to that sort of preparation. So it won't be unusual for us. It won't be something that we get anxious about. It's obviously we'd love to have more time, and we'd certainly love to have some of the time that some teams have together. But what we do know is our players will turn up, and we'll get the game plan into them. We'll get as much clarity into them as we can early in the week, and then we'll just let them play. I think where our competitiveness will come from over the next couple of years is in our ability to be as conditioned and as you know, our strength and conditioning programs to be as strong. Well, not so much the programs, but our ability for our players to be at the same level of conditioning at some of those top sides, so we can compete for 80 minutes.
Now, you play the Wallabies in Newcastle, New South Wales on July 6th, and then it's a 6-day turnaround before you host Scotland in Suva on July 12th. The PNC is in August and September. Fiji group with Samoa and Tonga. You have the one home game against Tonga in Suva on August 30. The finals are in Denver, Colorado, USA. It's not an easy draw, is it?
No, it's not easy for us. You know, we've got especially, you know, playing Samoa in Rotorua, you know, we've got a little bit of travel to get done once we get down with Tonga and Samoa, you know, and hopefully we can, you know, compete well against those two sides and put ourselves in a position to be in the finals. And then when we go to the States, we've got to get over to the middle of the States there, and a couple of different venues. So yeah, it is a tough travel for us, but it's good that we can start the campaign with a bye week, and that gives us a real chance to come together and get some real work into our players in those first 2 weeks, so that we're not losing out on those travel days where we, you know, with our travel days, we miss training days and we miss certain things. But if we can get our work in early, then we should be able to cover off that okay.
Well, Mick, all the very best with the test matches ahead. I hope all your key players remain fit and healthy. And thank you for your time, mate. Vinaka.
No, Vinaka Vakalevu, Clarkie. It's and I along with you wish my players all the best in staying healthy as we lead up to the test matches.
Always great to catch up with Mick Byrne, and remember those upcoming tests. Fiji versus Australia in Newcastle, July 6, Fiji versus Scotland in Suva on July 12, and then it's another home test against Tonga in Suva on August 30. Big news this week from the Drua is the signing of Sevens sensation Choji Nosova. The joint top try scorer from the World Series made the dream team off the back of a great year on the Sevens circuit, and is excited about his move to the Drua next year. And I can't wait to see him in Drua colours, Choji Nosova. Let's hope he can match it with Longanamasi. That's it for Drua Talk for another week. I'm Greg Clark. Mobe.